Scott, who is DG?
Don't be a dick, Dave.
Oh, that was a
I
nice
put a
voice.
spell on you because you're mine.
There you go. That's a good one right there. What's happening, guys? Welcome to DC Fan-imated. How we doing today? Hopefully good. We're here. I got wine.
I don't know.
So
Do you need to talk about some things, Dave? You can walk into my office. You need to get some things off your chest.
Yes. I got some psychological things that I need to.
You have issues.
Get out. I got some issues. I definitely got some issues that
I've got lots of issues. So
yes, yeah, you do. You have plenty of issues. I actually used that joke not too long ago. Wow, that's funny.
Did I ever tell you I used that joke? Okay, tangent already at the beginning.
Yeah,
but back in my teaching career at my first school, I started. Everyone, old time fans will know that I started a comic book club for my middle school students at the first school that I taught at. And 1 year, it was only 1 year, I made a T-shirt for the club members. And the back, I designed a logo for the club. It was on the back, but the front was just a speech bubble that said, "We've got issues."
That's awesome. No, yeah, I know there's a I don't have a little Deadpool statue. I don't think it says it, but I know there was a Deadpool shirt that says, I have issues, and then he's holding a bunch of comic books. No, I used that joke a couple of weekends ago. I was being asked things from a bartender who was trying to set me up with somebody, her friend, and I had my friend and then two other people that were part of the thing. And then it was asked, like, why are you single? And I was like, well, because I have issues. I'm all comic books. And then I just kind of nudged my friend. She started laughing because she understood it, but I was like, yeah. So I did that. I don't know why. That joke just hit me. I was like, because I have issues.
I'm sorry. I don't care how stupid it is. It's a great joke. I love it. For a comic book collector, it's such a great joke.
Of course, they didn't understand. I'm like, it was just one of those.
So many levels.
Yes, it does. So I was like, that's why I said it. But of course, my friend understood it, but the other three were like, huh? I'm like comic book issues. Oh, okay.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah. Damn it! When you have to explain the joke.
Oh no, there's no point. Like it's dead. No it's dead at that point. I do, however, want to take a moment to remind everyone that make sure you stay to the end of the stream, because Dave and I will be making a very special announcement about next week's episode. We're doing something different. And we're going to be announcing that at the end of tonight's stream. So make sure you stay to the very end. Thank you very much.
Stay to the end. We definitely have something that is going to be different. It's going to be interesting, and it's going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. But this week, of course, we're talking about Spellbound.
Okay, I have to start off. How much of a dumbass did you feel like you could remember?
I feel like a big time dumbass. Oh yeah, I feel like a big time dumbass because I was like, oh yeah, duh. Spellbound. It's just
it's Spellbinder. Yeah, I know.
I was like, wait, the opening sequence. You literally see.
Yeah, you do.
You see him in the opening sequence, and I'm going, oh yeah, shit. Yeah.
Oh man, Dave,
on these Wednesdays, these are long days.
I know, but you've got to understand how much at the end of every stream, I wish I was there with you, just so that I could slap you upside the head every once in a while.
Like, you know who this is? I'm like, my brain just, when I put on the spot, my brain just goes, nope, sorry, not going to work for you. Anyways, good to see some people out there. Of course, we got Eric. Takes a real medicine doctor. Yeah.
Okay. Eric's comment is definitely one of the notes that I wanted to bring up tonight. So that's gonna tie into something I'm gonna say later.
So this is interesting. Darren, Mr. Laugh Now Cry Later. Spellbinder is kind of DC's Mysterio, somewhat.
Somewhat. Okay, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and jump into this now. Because everyone's comments are good. I like Mr. Cry Now Laugh Later's Mysterio reference, but if I wanted to stay strictly in sort of a DC Batman context, I really do feel like like Scarecrow
Yeah.
meet Mad Hatter.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you've
Because you got the technology and you got,
the mind control,
yes.
you got the hypnotism going on, which
Yeah.
is the Mad Hatter, which is a little bit not as much the I was thinking about like the weird way the Mad Hatter. Do you remember Mad Hatter from the 66 show?
Yeah. I
With
remember. Yeah.
the little eyes that would pop out of the top hat and be like, yeah. So it's got that, but then it's got but he's a psychologist, which is what Crane was. So for me, Spellbinder has always felt like a interesting combination of the two, like Scarecrow meets Mad Hatter. But
Yeah.
instead of it being fear, it's that I know what your issues are, so I'm going to be able to kind of mind control you the way Mad Hatter would do. So that's kind of where I went with that.
No, I mean he's definitely, yeah. I mean, I didn't even think about that too. Because I was like, yeah, I mean, he does have like he has the technology and he has that, and yeah, but he doesn't bring fear into it. He basically just brings people into, oh yeah, I know how to manipulate you by obviously putting you in a fantasy world where I'm going to manipulate people into, oh well, I need to get money or goods or something like that. So, but then of course when we later in the episode when he starts manipulating Batman, gets almost fearish at one point at least.
At one point, yes, I know exactly which point you're talking
Yeah,
about. So,
but yeah, so and we get to see Chelsea again at the start of the.
yeah, you know what? And Girls Got Game.
She gets
Because
around.
well,
Somewhat.
and I didn't want to, and I didn't mean that in a sort of a slut shaming way. It was
Yeah,
more
I didn't
just
either.
because
Maybe.
we've got Nash for a couple
Yeah.
of episodes, but she clearly dumped his ass after what a dick he was in Gollum. Then last week with Winning Edge, she was. We were curious about
We
her
didn't
and
know for
Mason.
sure she was with Mason. We didn't know for sure.
We didn't know. She's clearly with this guy.
Yes,
Uh,
because it's good night and everything. Yeah.
oh yeah, exactly. Um, I did, however, I had to laugh because it so stands out like a sore thumb that she has her hairbrush tucked in the butt crack of her like tight little mini skirt.
Yeah.
Just,
My first thought when she's just like good night and then she just walks off into the street of Gotham at night by herself. I was like, dude, Dick, what are you doing? What call her something? But
no,
then
how
yeah,
about you walk her? Why are we at your doorstep?
yeah.
Okay, I'm going to be old fashioned. I'm 43, so I get to do that. You take the girl home.
Yes.
If you're gonna have a little bit of a makeout session or a goodnight kiss, you do it at her front door, not
Yes.
at yours.
Yeah, I was like, what? I was like, what that? But then again, they had to set up this whole thing. And then just like the fucking brush in the back of I mean, how weird would that be if you're out on a date with a girl and she just has a brush tucked right back there? And you're like,
You know what?
you know how like, we, as gentlemen, you might, touch her lower back to be like, hey, imagine like doing that and you touch bristles of a hairbrush.
Well, you know what? If you're Gal Gadot, you got a sword back there. So you know what? You got.
Oh, right.
I
I
did
always
think
look,
about the.
yeah. I always love the drawing. You've seen that drawing of like
Yes,
how
I have.
she's
Yes.
basically like she's got her cheeks. It's like in between her cheeks. Because it's like,
Yeah.
how else is that thing just sticking back there
In that blue dress that she's wearing in the first Wonder Woman movie. Yes.
She's just got her butt cheeks wrapped around it, which to be honest, if that's true, kind of hot. I'm not gonna lie. Kind of hot if you think about it. But yeah, it was very interesting. But at the same time, it's like, oh, they're setting up her little when Spellbinder comes down and basically turns her into a Laura Croft, Indiana Jones.
Yes, thank you. I was so glad you went with Tomb Raider because that's where my brain went. Oh yes,
of course, yeah. So I mean, what's brilliant about Spellbinder is like the fact that to manipulate somebody to do that, where you know okay, so she thinks like she's in some kind of she's in
Mayan jungle or
something like
like
that.
that.
She's going through the jungle. So yeah, of course she has her brush, her trusty
That's
brush.
a trusty brush to be her machete,
Yes.
basically. Yeah.
It's funny. But then she ends up getting to your house and then going through there and basically getting, I forgot exactly what, like it was like some kind of something that cost $80K.
It was some sort of like statue.
Yeah.
It was a piece of artwork. However, before we got to that, I laughed because a callback to last week's episode when she walks through the living room and her dad's there reading an actual newspaper, and all I could think about Terry from last week going, "Who reads newspapers anymore?"
That is true.
Because because of the whole fight at the Gotham Herald last week. I was like,
that's
and
right.
now's Chelsea's dad with a newspaper of all things,
and reading it late at night or 8 o'clock ish, maybe, I don't know. Usually
must
you're
have been the
reading
evening. Must have been the evening edition. That's all.
I guess so. They had
yes. For those of you who don't realize, newspapers used to come out twice a day because you'd have the morning edition and you'd have the evening edition because news happens.
Yes, news happens like all the time. Now we just get it instantly shot into our face. That sounded weird.
It really did, and I went where your brain went. So I don't know if that's commented on you or me or just both of us.
Whoops, that was a slip. I walked right into that one. Hey, you're welcome, folks. That's what I do. That's what I do. But so we get that, and then of course, she just kind of throws it off the rooftop, right, and into Gotham Lake or river, whatever.
I think it's I think you got to say it's a river.
Yeah.
I don't know. The landmass water structure of Gotham is always a fluid. Oh, sorry. Yep. I went there. It's a fluid thing,
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll be here all night, folks.
Yeah, tip your waitress. So we get her, and then he's like, what the hell? That cost me $80K and blah, blah, blah. So you get the price of it. And then, it's kind of brilliant. We're like, oh yeah, you manipulate somebody to think they're doing something. And then you get to scoop up that priceless, or not priceless, but that $80K, whatever statue thing. And hey, guess what? You just made $80K like that. So, it's pretty diabolical, pretty brilliant, but hey. And then of course we cut to next day at school. We meet Terry's friend. I don't even know what his name was.
I don't even know his name. I didn't even bother writing it down. Because he's one of those friends that's like, and we will never see him again. It's one of those kind of deals where with this episodic kind of television, it happens in movies, it happens in comic books, anything that's sort of episodic. When you introduce a new character in an episode, the mystery is gone because clearly the new character is this. So when you kind of see Ira Billings's office in the background, and we see Gordon, Babs, Commissioner Babs, walking through, going to the office, and you got to go, well, he must be the bad guy because we've never met him before. And because of that criticism, that's why I really appreciate those original 85 episodes of Batman the Animated Series, because we talked about this when we talked about that era of the show. Remember how many episodes we saw Harvey Dent before he became Two-Face, or how many times Barbara was in the show before she became Batgirl. It was nice to have characters be a part of the world before they became the character they were going to become. Because then, if you're not quite as familiar, then maybe it's a little bit more of a surprise. It's not like, oh, a new villain has shown up, and this new character shows up that we've never met before. I wonder who the villain is.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious, especially when Babs just walks in there, and you're like, who the hell is this guy? Oh, okay. Well, obviously, we know who this guy is going to end up being.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, but it is funny because yeah, you bring up a good point when it comes to like, especially when it comes to something episodic. I mean, even when it comes to Terry's friend right here, yeah, they didn't even bother to really just be like, give him a full name or whatever. He's just his mom's getting married, and he's like about it because apparently his mom
Gets married a lot.
has multiple husbands, and I'm like, okay. But it's just to fit the story. I mean, goddamn, I don't know if you ever used to watch Saved by the Bell.
Oh, of course I used to.
Yeah,
Who our age
didn't
didn't watch
it, right?
Saved by the Bell because Tiffany Amber Thiessen.
Yes, everybody had a crush on her. Fuck yeah, oh, of course. But at the same time, it's like, how many times did you see characters or story plots that just the next episode it was all forgotten? That person disappeared. You had the Tory fucking paradox. Remember when Tori was like part of like the last season, and it was like, where did she come from? What happened to Kelly and Jesse? And they just vanished, but then they came back at the end. That was such a weird thing.
I did think I had stopped watching Saved by the Bell at that point. So
Yeah.
Okay.
I just watched the reruns and didn't understand it, but then I figured out like, oh, it was just because of contract weird shit. I don't know. It was something weird that was happening, but
it's like the little sister in Family Matters who went upstairs and
never came back.
Never came back. Yes.
Yeah. Same thing happened to the youngest in Step by Step. That kid disappeared too. I totally forgot about that till I watched the video about it not too long ago. That's what's so weird about the algorithm sometimes. When these and we went off on another tangent, but that's just the way episodic stuff happens. You get these random people and then you just never hear from them again. But yeah, so of course we get Ira, and it's like, okay, yeah, obviously we know that. And then we know that, and then of course Terry is trying to do his best on eavesdropping onto them. So and
that was really exciting when Babs showed up. I was like, oh, this is the episode where they finally meet.
Yeah,
because they haven't met yet.
Yes, she just knows that Bruce has somebody,
right? Because she knows there's a new Batman. There's that scene in like episode 3 where I think he captures Ink, and I can't remember if it was Ink or if it was. I think it was Ink.
I think it was Ink. Yeah,
I think it was Ink, and. She talks about, Bruce, you have a new errand boy, but when do I get to meet him, like that kind of thing. So this is the episode where it's like, oh, their paths are finally gonna cross.
Yeah, and then of course, and then what was kind of interesting too is like Terry's telling Bruce about this, but Bruce kind of is just like, young people, he's Bruce
dismissive.
Yeah, he's very dismissive, even though like usually he's kind of like going, but at this for this episode, he's dismissive about it. He's like, it's nothing.
Well,
it's
because I think if I'm going to defend Bruce in his old man Bruce dickishness, because it's old man Bruce, it's not a pattern yet.
Oh yeah,
it's once it's happenstance, twice as coincidence, 3 times as enemy action. And notice that Bruce doesn't even put all the pieces together until there are 3 incidences. So we'll get to that. But I think it's that. It's like he's a detective, so he needs a pattern. Once a pattern has been established, well, not only is there a pattern, then he's able to figure out the connection between all of the victims eventually. And then it's like, oh, here's our bad guy.
Yeah. And so I mean, that makes sense. I mean, because as soon as because we get our second victim, Mr. Deakins.
Yes.
Who, obviously he, when it comes to his vision's pretty, man. His is like crazy because he thinks he's like flat out war is happening.
I basically was like, oh, I'm watching Apocalypse Now. It was weird going. So we're 50 years in the future, but this man's vision of war strangely looks like Vietnam. Like it was,
but it couldn't be.
but it couldn't be. Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause we're 50 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Couldn't be, yeah.
Because he's clearly not in Vietnam, but the background, even has helicopters, and they're firing things in the jungle, and I'm just like, I love the smell of napalm in the morning. It's like it's all the Vietnam tropes in this weird thing, but I still think it's cool that he's this curator of this museum that apparently has all of these gowns that clearly are worth something. And the entire time that in his vision, he's carrying his injured buddy through the battlefield, it's just him with a mannequin of one of the gowns that he's like thinks he's saving. I mean, that I always loved it when it was cutting back and forth between,
That's what I was gonna
his vision and the
Yeah.
reality. His is one of the more interesting intercuts between what's really happening and what he thinks is happening.
Yeah, no, it's cool how they mapped it out like that, how he's doing, and then even to the point where he's like, takes a grenade and chucks it, but it's actually a fucking coffee mug. And then as it hits the wall, it goes back into the vision because you see the explosion. And I'm like, they did a good job of like
That was cool because the coffee mug breaks against the wall, and then you see the explosion in his vision, and that was a really cool editing going on in this episode.
There was, and then of course, Batman is obviously seeing like, hey, wait a minute, what the hell's going on here? And then they finally come across each other. They finally see each other. Obviously, we see Spellbinder. He's got obviously a crazy costume. And, Batman's like, what the heck are you? And then of course, Deacon starts attacking. He attacks Batman. And, but of course, that's when he finally just like shakes out of it and then sees Batman is like, what the hell? Where am I? What am I doing? Blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I mean, go from war to seeing Batman, that's got to be a little bit of craziness, right?
Yeah, exactly. But also, and I'm trying to figure out. It was almost like Deakins didn't even remember what the vision was about.
Yeah,
I think that's important because it was crazy, but I don't even know. Do any of the victims? Oh, that's about Terry does later. When Terry gets blasted, he remembers what his vision was. I never got the sense the others did, or at least they never talked about it enough for you to realize that it lingers. Like you remembered this was weird.
You might be onto something there because I'm like, yeah, because you don't hear anything from Chelsea, but do we actually see her break her little hypnotic spell in that opening scene?
Well, because her dad comes and it's like, what the hell?
Yeah, that's right. And she's like, huh?
Yeah. Huh? Yeah, exactly.
But then, it is interesting. And then he comes to and he's like, what's going on? How'd I get here? Kind of thing. And yeah, that is interesting. So then now a pattern has now, and then Bruce, obviously they're seeing like, and then even the news reports are going, yeah, there might be like they were hypnotized or blah blah blah.
They name him like
they're like a hypnotizing villain or something like that.
Well, no, they actually call him this Spellbinder.
Oh, they actually say it.
They actually say it. Yeah. It's what this is one of the tropes where the news media names the villain.
Okay, so, I didn't catch that. I just remember they talked about a hypnotizing something. I thought they said villain or something like that, but maybe I was just typing too fast. But and then of course Terry's getting ready to go to his friend's mom's wedding.
I do love the "I told you so." Bruce is going, mm-hmm.
Yeah, he does. See, that's the thing. I love that too, where Terry just kind of goes, "Hey, I knew something was up, but but again, Bruce, like you said, he had to get the pattern. He couldn't just go, because he doesn't, young people nowadays. I mean, he probably just assumed, it's just adolescence. She just,
rebelling.
Rebelling against her dad. She could be on something, or whatever the hell. But as soon as you get an older person who Terry came across and saw that he was hypnotized, knew that he was hypnotized.
Well,
Now,
Terry even sees the villain. Like
yeah,
it's like
yeah,
you see the
that,
dude in the stupid costume,
yeah,
with the really weird. I'm gonna admit though, his device, his transportation, cool design. Like
it's cool design.
it is a cool design. But yes, like you referenced at the beginning of the episode, he finds a
Yeah,
tuxedo. He's like, "Who's DG?" And
Bruce doesn't
I
want to say.
love the fact, spoiler alert, the series never answers uh, about Dick.
Yeah,
That
it never does, right?
it never
Never
does. No.
does.
They explored it in comics afterwards.
I'm sure.
Yeah. But no, the series never talks about like they never reveal what happened with Dick.
That's
So I think
interesting why they didn't do
yeah.
that. I wonder why. Is there any information that why they decided not to?
I
Because I mean,
think
what's his name was a big part. I mean, who played the who voiced Dick? He was a huge,
Lauren Lester. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't say that he would return because obviously, we didn't have the same Babs voice. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know why.
I think once again I think it's kind of cool because I think they wanted to always they never knew how many seasons they were going to get.
Yeah,
And so there was always the, well, that could be a story for down the line. Or, and once again, we talked about they've always been conscientious about making sure this is Terry's story. It doesn't.
true.
So, but bringing Dick back and like what they did with him in the comics was pretty damn cool.
Was it?
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah. I'll have to find exactly like because there was lots of different Batman Beyond series, some that tried to be more continuity with the DC universe, and some that were just flat out no, we're just writing comics to continue on the animated universe. I'll dig around. I'll send you some. I'll send you what the issues are.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, they did. But when they finally revealed Dick Grayson Beyond, it was pretty badass.
Okay, cool. I'm curious about that because I was always wondering about that. But yeah, so yeah, I see that, and then of course, yeah, Bruce just doesn't say anything. He just walks off, and then of course at the wedding, all of a sudden, Terry's friend, who we don't know exactly, but he's all for it because apparently the new hubby like bought him. He's rich. He's filthy rich. Bought him a new car, so he's okay. And then of course the ceremony is just. It looks like it's huge. His mom looks like a princess, just all decked out
Got a
in
big ass diamond around her neck. I mean, it's
diamond rings, diamond earrings. Everything is just to the nines, as they say. But guess what? Spellbinder is targeting her next, of course.
right. But that's cool though because they had those drone photographers at the wedding. And I think it's really clever that because of the way that he causes the visions, that he just had a device that would just blend in with all of the drone videographers, and that's his way of
and this is
triggering the
where the scarecrow part of Spellbinder
yes.
really comes in because Jesus, I mean, she is like. She feels these big, huge worm things around her neck. So she's peeling off the necklace and things around her. She's seeing big flying bugs, creepy crawler bugs, like, kind of like humanoid looking bugs. And it's creepy. She's having a full on nightmare and she's trying to run. She's pushing him away. She's throwing things. She's just having a full on panic. She's in full on panic mode. And of course, naturally, Terry's like, oh boy. I know what this is. So he runs down to his bike and gets his costume and gets the suits up.
Yeah. And then it's a really cool action sequence.
Oh, it totally is. Yeah.
I mean, it's almost worth. I mean, I know that you've got a clip for later on the episode.
Yeah.
But it's almost like
is. Yeah.
This is clip worthy. Like this.
It could have been. Yeah.
This is clip worthy. This really is clip worthy because of once again, it's that intercutting. This is the one that I'm like, this is better than what Deacons did, but it just takes it to a whole different level about what's going on in the real world versus this bug nightmare that she is seeing, and it's really cool. I'm gonna be honest. I think one of the coolest parts for me, because once again, it's a lot of action, so it's not like we're gonna like be able to like beat for beat describe what's going on.
Of course not.
But there's the part where she jumps off like an overpass because she's trying to get away from the giant bugs in her nightmare vision. Batman swoops down to grab her, but in her mind, he's this giant bug, and the skirt of the wedding gown she envisions is like webbing.
Oh yeah.
Dripping out of this bug, and she's
Ugh.
like ripping at her dress, trying to tear the webbing to get free from the bug, even though it's Batman literally trying to keep her from being street pizza.
Yeah, it's true. I know. It was like an interesting. It's total nightmare fuel because he's trying to like do his best to like hold on to her, and she sees just like she's just wrapped up in this. It's like it's just it's bad, but and then she like almost dies so many times, and then she ends up on some tracks, and in her mind she sees a big huge bug that's just darting at her, but it's
the L, basically. It's the L train.
It's like an L train. So then of course Terry has to like swoop in. And then in the meantime, I mean, obviously he sees Spellbinder too, so he's like, villain's there, but he's got to do the rescue thing. Obviously, he's got to do that hero thing where it's like, I can't go after the villain when I got to save the victim kind of thing. So, yeah, it's a quite a predicament, but yeah, it is a good scene.
Yeah, and then of course he saves his friend's mom. He goes after Spellbinder because he's grabbed at the jewels because she ripped them off and left them on the track. Of course, the train, because it's an L, just went over the jewelry, and then Terry's flying after Spellbinder, and then he gets zapped. And then kind of a cool way of representing the reality versus fantasy is that Bruce is looking through the cowl in the vid link that's built into the suit. So he's seeing the reality of what's in front of Terry, while we're seeing what Terry's seeing. And
Terry's just in a very peaceful in the sense that it's a waterfall. He's cliff diving. It's peaceful to him. That would scare the shit out of me. Probably,
no fucking way.
Yeah, no way.
No.
I mean, I've gone to Lake Havasu and done some cliff diving. Not diving. No, I did diving. I did when I was in my younger years. But I mean, this is full on, with a waterfall, and he's just like, yeah. But then of course Bruce like, Terry, snap out of it, because he's headed towards, the ground, and just gonna freaking splat. Street pizza. Yeah, I forgot about that term. I love that.
But when he wakes up just in time, I mean, like just in the nick of time, but still ends up like ping ponging off of all the cars and crap.
He fucks up his suit. My God.
I know. And the cool thing about how he fucks up the suit is that it's something that will play out over and over again in the series. But, I love kind of exploring how the suit is constructed. So there is this underlayer of the suit with all the circuitry.
Yeah. And then nothing but circuitry, like red circuit boards and shit.
Right. Because that outer layer that's got, the bat symbol and, the overlayer, it gets torn, and shit, it gets torn to shreds. Yeah. So I love the idea that under, like, the suit is kind of layered, because with all the cool shit it can do, well, no, there's got to be circuitry all in that thing. And so being able to see that exposed and letting that kind of be a battle damage look Because a lot of times with Batman, you get a battle damaged look that's, the cape is tattered, the suit is torn or ripped or clawed. And I like the idea that for Batman Beyond and Terry's suit, it's that like you see the circuitry underneath, and then that's your battle damage look. That's what one of those action figures would be. Battle damage Batman,
Oh, dude. And I don't know. I mean, I think there's something awesome. And I remember I've had conversations with fellow friends that there's something awesome about a damaged suit, isn't there? There's something.
Absolutely. Yeah. Why do you think the Superman versus Doomsday fight like Superman 75 is so awesome? Because Superman is tore up, but there's just something like, but with heroes, it's the idea of you're beaten, you're tattered and torn to shreds, and yet you keep on going in spite of the fact that your costume is torn to pieces. It's a really cool look.
It really is. I mean, yeah. I mean, you can even, especially in live action, when you see like certain times where, in a Batman movie where it's like, oh yeah, there's damage to the suit. I mean, even in BVS, when the fucking armored suit, when he tumbles over and all of a sudden his eyes exposed in the cowl, because it's like, and you got the handprint in the
handprint. Yeah, exactly.
Like that. So like the battle damage, even with something that's supposed to, be very, very protective, is pretty awesome. But yeah, so that happens, and of course we see like Terry like bandage himself up and everything, and then of course this is where we see Ira again at school, and then he goes, "Hey Terry, yeah, you want to come in here?" And it's like, "Don't do it, Terry. Don't do it. Oh, come on."
No.
And of course, he walks in there, door closes. We see the name. And yeah, we're like, oh, that's not going to be good. And then cut to, well, Bruce working in the Batcave. And then also intruder calling. Sorry, that's from Batman Forever. Batman Robin, maybe? Yeah. No, that's from this.
No, it's from Batman Forever, because it's when Riddler, it's when Riddler gets into the Batcave.
I forget, the Batman and Robin had an AI, Alfred.
Yes.
That showed up. Suit me up, Uncle Alfred. Oh God,
stop it.
Bad. So bad. So bad. Who came up with? Oh man. Anyways, that could be a whole episode.
Mm-hmm.
It was just in that part. But anyways, yeah. So he's going like intruder, and I love how Bruce is just like, well, fuck it. I'm gonna come out of the.
I'm gonna grab my cane.
Yes, I'm gonna come out of the grandfather clock secret entrance, and I'm like ready for it. And then it's funny because it's Terry, who's got a goofy smile on his face, and he's just taking shit off the shelves. And then we see his vision, and he's on like supermarket madness or whatever.
Supermarket spree.
Is that what it was called?
That's what it's called. Because in my mind,
I used to watch it with my mom. Yeah.
Well, no, because what we were, you're the next contestant on the supermarket sweep.
Yes.
This is such a. It's funny though. It so dates the show though, because the gag only works if you were a 80s, 90s kid who would watch Supermarket Sweep. And frankly, I loved that show.
It was a popular show. It was fun, and to the point where sitcoms would utilize it. I remember there was a Married with Children episode that had a version of it. I think there was like a Family Matters. I mean, I think all the shows had like kind of their own version of it at one point, where they were like, oh yeah, we're going on that because it was so popular.
It was so popular. Yeah. And by the way, if you've never watched the show, if you're not old enough to have watched Supermarket Sweep, it was basically like, can you find the items in a grocery store? Like it, and then there was also certain challenges like find these items, but don't go over like this dollar amount. I don't know why.
They had different versions of like,
there were different challenges. Like, yeah.
It was like get the most, and then there would be certain challenges. It wasn't just like one thing. I mean, I wouldn't be. It seems like almost that would work now. I think now they would have to self-checkout. That's about it. That would be like the modern day thing is like you'd have to actually ring yourself up, or something like that, because that's just so modern day now when it comes to grocery stores. But so he's just doing that, and then of course Bruce is like, "What the hell?" and trying to like stop him. But then of course what Terry sees is some large lady trying to take whatever he's trying to take, and he's actually wrestling with Bruce. It's kind of it's kind of funny.
I do love how I love Batman. There I go,
Yeah.
Bruce. I
Yeah.
do love how Bruce uses his cane and does the thing where he like hooks Terry's leg and like pulls it out from underneath him.
Yeah.
Like you go, old man Bruce. You know how to.
Yeah.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
I also love that, like, to get him out of it, he bitch slaps him, like he backhand bitch slaps him to wake him up, and Terry's like, "Ow!"
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what you got to do. You got to slap him back into reality, and he did a good job with that. So
Slap the stupid out of him.
slap the stupid. But of course, it's like, okay, yeah. I mean, obviously, we know who it is now. So now Terry's got to go.
Okay, this is where the 40-year-old man's going to come out. I have to ask, how the fuck does Ira afford all this tech on a school psychologist salary?
Well, I mean, I guess because if somehow he got this technology, it took him a while to develop this technology, and then he started manipulating.
That's the thing. The episode never goes in. Like,
it doesn't go into it.
It doesn't go into it. Mad Hatter.
Yeah, they go into it.
They go into it.
Okay.
Scarecrow. They go into you.
Okay.
You understand. Like, Scarecrow was working for a university. He had like research grant shit that he could like delve into to help, fund developing the fear toxin. In Mad Hatter actually was a scientist.
And then Riddler, same thing. We saw that backstory kind of.
Yeah, we saw that backstory, and he also like disappeared for a period of time, and it was really just a lot of puzzles and stuff. I mean, even with the riddle of the Minotaur, he just reprogrammed a pre-existing. He just basically just reprogrammed pre-existing tech. It's not like he had to go and like build it himself. But this is clearly a custom job. I mean, Ira went out, made himself a fucking suit, built a really cool flying device, and developed the technology to, hypnotize, and very specifically hypnotize people. And I'm just like, dude, what's your background? Where'd this money come from? I'm like, he even complains about how he doesn't get paid enough, which is why he's stealing from these people. And it's like, then how did you afford all this?
Yeah, shit? They could have did like a brief thing of like how but then at the same time they were trying to keep the mystery.
But that goes back to it's not a mystery. We all know who it like. Unless you're 10 years old, you know who this is.
They were trying to be clever. They're trying to be clever, but then there's some plot holes. There's definitely some plot holes when it comes to it. You bring up good points with that. I didn't even think about that. I'm like, they could have maybe spent some time with that, but then at the same time, they were trying to be mysterious. But then at the same time, we all knew, and it's like, okay, who the fuck is this guy? Oh, obviously, that's just cliche. Yeah. So you're right. They were just Yeah, we might be having an episode of Batman Beyond where we're kind of okay. I mean, it's still a good episode, but it's
a good episode. It's a good episode, but it's just one of those.
It's got some flaws.
It's got some. It's got
flaws.
It's
more
that 40,
flaws than normal.
It's got that 40-year-old man going.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Wait a minute. What are we doing here? Yeah, I know. So then, of course, we get Batman going out to find him, and I mean, this is where we're just gonna kind of just jump in because we're towards the end. I mean, it is interesting because I probably should have like did the clip when it came to that early one, but I was like, oh no, we'll do it right here. But it's kind of interesting how quickly we get to this point in the episode because it flows pretty good. It flows pretty.
It does flow very well. That's
all of a sudden we get to this point, and it's like, okay, so obviously they're gonna have a little face off.
What's happening?
This is where, but what's cool about this is like
he got me again, I think, but I'm fine.
Harry thinks he's fine.
I'm okay. Everything looks.
But then all of a sudden, you know, we get zombies.
Man. And by the way, have we ever stopped to realize how creepy the woods outside of Wayne Manor are?
Yeah, they're really creepy. You see, and then of course Bruce is like, okay,
what's going on?
I also love how the score is very classic horror movie score instead of the synthesizer and the electric guitar.
Now I'm taking what I've earned.
They kept it like a horror score. They didn't want to like, because you hear that organ in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Terry, listen to my voice. Whatever you're seeing.
And this is cool right here because now Bruce has to be his eyes.
Yes.
That sure felt real.
That sure felt real.
You've got to look around so I can help.
Yeah. Dude.
I'll try.
See? There's that organ.
Yeah, no.
There.
There.
Now.
Boom. And he's like, oh shit.
Yeah, this is the cool part when Bruce and Terry like work together.
Yeah.
You know, this is what makes Bruce more than just like the man, you know, the dude in the chair kind of deal.
True. And then now it's like, okay, you got hit in the head pretty good, so
McGinnis, report.
I'm all right. The visions are gone.
Right. But his vidlink is all jacked up.
Yeah. And then here comes the theme song.
And then comes the Batman Beyond theme.
Looking for another frequency.
Now he's really being the chair dude.
Yes, because we're clicky clacky. You know, that's what makes it a chair dude.
He's typing frantically to find a new frequency.
I got him.
and Bruce, look up, Bruce, look up.
Yeah. Whoop! Almost got it. I mean, that was pretty good on, you know.
And also, it's also something that I appreciate is that because Spellbinder is this like school psychologist, he's not a fighter. You know, he's got to pick up the giant log. He's got to pick up the rock.
He's not winning the battle unless he has the technology to do it. I love how he had his glasses too, by the way.
Okay. Let's talk about it. He pulls the mask off. There's no glasses. He's in the patrol car, and the glasses are back on.
Yeah,
like,
they're back
where'd your glasses come from?
Your father was Warren McGinnis.
And then, of course, this is where Barbara's going, oh,
I know who you are. Stay out of trouble, kid.
Totally. I mean, she knows.
She knows. I'm like
100%.
Well, one, you got this young boy who's helping out Bruce at the same time that this new
and he's built like Batman.
He's built, yeah. But then he goes, "You're Warren McGinnis's kid," and it's like, oh, you almost wanted Barbara to look at Bruce and go, again.
Yeah, really. Yeah, that's what she's doing. She's going, oh yeah, you're getting, you get one of these kids who lose a parent again. Like, yeah,
again.
Like, yeah, that's totally your bag right there, isn't it? And it's like,
but that's cool because at this point you're like, okay, Babs knows Terry's Batman. Like that's it. And she didn't have to say anything. You're just stay out of trouble, kid, because it's like I fucking know.
Yes,
I love it. I love it.
It's so good. Oh man, good episode. There's some interesting things. Like we could have had a little bit more backstory, but still a good episode. You know?
I did look up the voice of Spellbinder.
Yeah, who is it?
The actor's name is John Cipher.
John Cipher.
One of those actors who was just one of those day players who just like worked and worked and worked and worked. But his one big thing, I'm not familiar with the show, but people of a certain age would know he was the chief of police in Hill Street Blues.
Never watched it.
I never watched it either, but I remember what I remember
hearing about it.
You remember hearing about it? Like it was one of those shows. 70s, 80s. I think, But otherwise, he's just one of those people that you look at his IMDb. It's just like, dude, you did like one or two episodes on like every major television show from like the 60s on kind of deal.
Wow, that's cool. All right. And yeah, so that's it. That's Spellbound right there. Good episode. Always, Batman Beyond's been a
It's
lot of winners.
consistent. Batman Beyond is, even if not every episode is fantastic,
Yeah,
it's a consistent show. We don't get those high highs and those low lows that,
very true.
frankly, we'll be honest, Batman the animated series would do it, Superman the animated series would do it. Batman Beyond's not doing it so far.
Nope, they're not. So what do we have next week, Scott?
Okay, so we've been teasing for about a week now.
Yeah.
Dave and I have cooked this up. We are taking a break from watching an episode because we are going to have a special guest next week.
What?
I know. We've been in contact with animation writer Ernie Altbacker. Now, maybe you don't know the name, but you
know the work.
But you know the work. He worked on Green Lantern, the animated series, as a staff writer, and he was specifically the screenwriter for multiple of the direct-to-video animated movies that DC has released in the past several years. I would name Justice League Dark, directed by Jay Oliva, Teen Titans, The Judas Contract, and the fan favorite, Justice League Dark, Apocalypse War.
Which, of course, is excellent.
It's excellent. Dark as
Well, they're all
shit.
excellent, but that's probably my favorite one out of the.
Oh, it's definitely mine.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Altbacker will be joining us next week live to discuss his work and his new Kickstarter that is launching at the beginning of June.
Yes.
So
we'll provide the link, of course, down below, and we'll put it in the chat and stuff like that. But yeah, special guest. I mean, Scott hit me up with a screenshot, and I was like, I mean, even at first when I read the name, I was like, who? But then he explained, I was like, oh, that's perfect.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, he has written some of the best of the more recent DC animated movies. And when the opportunity presented itself, I was like, Dave.
I was like, yes, by all means. So that's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to talk to him, pick his brain a little bit. And yeah, we should definitely have some fun with that. So yeah, like I said, we're taking a break. We're not going to be discussing any episodes of anything. We're just going to be talking with him. So
yes.
Yeah,
so it's same time. So just tune in like normal. Dave, you have to, cut your stream short. Like
oh, I know. Well,
yeah.
Hopefully, no freaking, another new Superman trailer shows up. Jesus Christ! But no, I'll definitely, yeah, we'll be on time when it comes to that one for sure. I'm sure next week it won't be that bad. Of course, I probably just jinxed it, but I'll make it work for sure. Because special guests, you gotta definitely do that. So that's gonna be a lot of fun, guys. Hopefully, everybody who's listening right now, you guys will be here next week, and yeah, maybe we'll even pull some questions. Like if we see some questions,
I was hoping that might be something that we can maybe try. It's fun to have a guest. I mean, I'm familiar with so much of his work. I'll have questions, but I think it'd be fun for the audience. And that means tune in live, folks, and be a part of the experience.
Be a part of the experience. So there you go, guys. And thank you, of course, for being here tonight. I know we got started a little late, but there was a crazy little Superman trailer that showed up. So a lot of things talking about that, and then some other things too, where it was like, oh, there's just a lot to discuss tonight, but we still made it happen. So what do you got, Scott? You got anything to promote?
You know what? Just check out, biggest thing is make sure you're following me on my socials. I've got X, Scott DC27. I've got Vero at Scott McClellan. And of course, as I've been promoting a lot lately, check out my letterbox, because Dave now has a letterbox as well.
Yay! Yes.
You need to spruce it up. You need to spruce it up. But I have several reviews. I have been on my work schedule is finally allotted for me to watch a lot of stuff lately, and I've been reviewing. I have also posted one of the most negative reviews I have ever had in my life.
Oh, really? What movie?
Oh, that Juliet and Romeo movie. Oh, that sucker was
Ooh.
hot fucking garbage. And
Damn. Yeah. Okay. Makes sense.
oh man, here's how bad it was. I posted a 1-star review within the first 15 minutes of the movie, and I still sat
15 minutes.
15
Wow.
minutes. Yeah, yeah. And guess what? The next hour and 45 didn't get any better. So it
Oh
was,
God, it must have been the longest movie of the year.
oh God, it sure felt like it,
Mm.
Oh, jeez.
Jeez.
So, but yeah, check out my letterbox. I always appreciate people checking out my review, my ratings and reviews. And if you're just curious what I'm seeing or what I'm watching, letterbox is where you can check that out. So,
Yep.
thank you guys for all your support.
Yeah, I definitely got to spruce mine up. I just have one ranking, which is where I feel about movies I've seen this year, new movies in the movie theater, which I've been pretty good. I've been pretty consistent, which is good. I think I'm going to post my rankings for the Final Destination franchise since the new
Ooh,
one.
those are fun. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I'll do my ranking. I'll do another ranking, but then I got to do like, oh yeah, just normal reviews kind of thing. Do
Yeah,
that?
just the diary function of when you're
Yeah.
watching a movie. Yeah.
There's no video stuff on there, right?
No, there is not.
Yeah,
No.
it's strictly just okay. Yeah, so I'll start doing that too with new movies I see. Just kind of just go on when I get done, post my first reaction, and then maybe, and then just go on there and just type out some stuff, give a 4.5 out of whatever the fuck, do the star rating and everything. So another thing to do. It's been a long time coming, that's for sure. I think I even told you, I'm like, I think I'm finally going to join.
Oh, dude, I was so
And then
excited.
I finally did. Yeah, I was like, finally. And then it was late on Sunday. I'm like, okay.
Oh yeah, I was watching that god awful movie while you were doing
Oh yeah.
it.
Oh, good Lord. So anyways, guys, we appreciate you. Everybody who's out in the chat right now. Awesome. Like I said, next week, special guest. Should be great. Please show up and we'll have some fun. Anyways, hit that like, thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, do all the things, and we will talk to you guys later.